Raising a family and nurturing your own personal passions is a win-win a lot of women imagine for themselves. My next guest believes identifying your strengths can help you get there. Krista Parry practices what she preaches. She's a mom raising a family and pursuing her passion to help other women turn their strengths into opportunities. So why is it so hard for women to kind of pinpoint their strengths? What's difficult about that?
You know what's interesting is that evidence actually shows that women are not as self-assured as men. And in fact, we typically downplay what our strengths are. And especially when we've been moms, right? And we've been at home, and we forget that some of these things that maybe like our talents and our strengths, that those are things that can help us and to be able to start our own business or side business.
It's interesting because I think that speaks true, especially if you are a mother kind of raising kids. You can sometimes see that echoed in your children with the gender differences there.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, is it a good, or talent's a natural good place to start? Should you look at your talents?
Yes, talents are such a great place to start, and I'll tell you why. Is because it's easy for us to say, when we're not trying to say, oh yeah, I'm so good at that and that's something that I just do. But when we say, oh, one of my talents is that I am a great organizer, right? Or that I am a great at art. Those things, when you look at your talents, actually can help lead you to finding your strengths.
So you're really discovering what you're good at. You're kind of looking at life and saying, okay, these are things that I'm actually good at.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, you know, for women, especially when they're looking at saying, okay, how can I take my talents, right, and my passions and be able to figure out maybe a strength, a great place to start is to say, okay, what is a skill that I have, right? Like, what's a skill that I have? And, you know, one of our skills could be that, hey, I'm a great organizer, or I like to design. Or I like to do art. All those skills can actually lead to potentially starting a business.
Okay, and I love that you say another idea is to take note of what people ask you to volunteer for.
Yes.
That was a great idea for women who have been at home for a while.
Yeah. Isn't that because when you think about being at home, right, you aren't thinking about, okay, how can this apply to business? But you have those friends who are always like, oh, you know what, Emily is great at designing. She's great at fashion. And so I'm going to go to Emily. We get those things where we're always volunteered for things, right? All of us probably have that thing that people call you up and say, hey, I need you to help plan this event. Those are great places to start.
Okay, I love that. And you have a good example, a story about Marianne Brown.
So Marianne Brown, so let me just give you an example about that. So Marianne Brown, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she had a baby. And she and her husband moved into a house, and they were, so she and her husband moved into a house, and they were flipping it. And she loved it, and she actually found out that she was really good at it. And so, you know, moved forward another year, and she had another baby. And she was miserable because she was at home, which I don't want to say miserable, but she just said, I need an outlet.
You know what, but in all honesty,
Right?
that's a hard transition for a lot of women.
It is.
You go from kind of really active to like, okay, it's just an adjustment.
Yeah, it's an adjustment. So she said to her husband, who was a real estate investor, he had some, his company was flipping some houses. And she said, can I help you style these homes? You know, you just have to pay me enough, basically, to be able to afford babysitting. And she had an outlet where she could then go and say, okay, I'm going to put my talents into this project. And she helped to style and flip these homes. And now she has a full-fledged business doing it.
Okay, so great story, and I think that speaks true to some people. What about the excitement factor? I mean, there are some things that I may be good at, but maybe I don't want to do. I mean, how important is there to have that, is it to have that excitement factor?
Well, I think that the excitement factor is very important because, especially when you're looking at something that gets you like, I want to go and do this, you've got to have that excitement. So skill plus excitement. And a great example of this, right, from finding your passion is that we have a friend that we've been working with, a client, and she is an educator. She's been an educator for 10 years. And 3 years ago, she was diagnosed with 5 autoimmune diseases.
Oh, goodness.
And those autoimmune diseases were, you know, it basically threw her into this world of going to doctors all the time and trying to manage her disease, right? And all these different diseases and researching and trying all these alternative therapies. And what she found is that she actually now has a huge passion in helping others be able to manage that. And so she's turned, quite honestly, her pain, right? I mean, think about being diagnosed with all these autoimmune diseases. She's turned that into her strength, where now she's actually starting a website and starting a blog where she can help others be able to manage their health issues.
Yeah, and a neat thing that this can come from either a talent or something that just even happens to you in your life.
Exactly, right? Like a pain point where you never realize that pain, that you're actually going to find strength and then be able to help others through it.
Absolutely. So how can we use our skills and passions to kind of find what we love?
Yeah, so I think that when you look at your, right, so a good thing to look at if you're struggling, I think great things when you say, well, geez, I don't even know what people volunteer me for, I don't even know what I'm good at. 2 things. ask your friends, right? Say, hey friends, what do you think my skills are? Or even better, look at your childhood. What did you love to do when you were a child? Because what happens when we're kids, there's actually research that shows up until we're about 8, and for whatever reason when we're 8, something flips in our head where we think that like society doesn't think that what we're doing is good. But things before when you were 8, those things that you loved to do as a kid, those can actually be your talents. And maybe you forgot to do them, you've forgotten them because you've been so caught up in life, but go back to those things too.
Okay, that's interesting because it's so true. I think we all kind of have those childhood dreams and whether or not we act on them. So thinking about those. Your sister has an interesting story.
Yeah, so my sister was a corporate executive. She actually owned her own public relations company, and she was a producer in Hollywood. And she stayed home. She has 3 little girls. And what she found is that she was really missing that. She kind of lost herself a little bit with being home with 3 kids. And what she found is that she went back to her skills, right? Her skills of PR and business building, and really her passion of helping to empower women and help them to identify what they're good at, to help launch our company. So we launched a company that helps women to identify what they're really good at and then gives them the skills and the tools that they need to be able to launch a company.
Awesome. And this speaks to your path as well.
That's right. So I was a corporate executive for 15 years. I used to travel 40,000 miles a month. Right? That's a lot of travel. And I have 2 little boys at home. And I just decided, like, this isn't what I want to do. I really love helping women. And so a year ago, I quit my corporate job to be able to have that balanced life of being able to volunteer my kids' school and be able to attend events, as well as be able to take my passion of helping others.
Awesome. Okay, Krista, if people want more information, where can they go to find this?
So they can go to, so sisterup.co. It's a website, and we've got great information. We've got information of like articles on how to find your strengths, how to start a business or side business, and then also programs that we offer.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.